textile heritage, art, design, costume, fashion, architecture related to Alps between past, present, and future. Questioning the idea of beauty associated with the Alps led us to outline potential definitions through images. We then applied this aesthetic concept to iconic fabrics that embody alpine beauty, trying to find a possible relationship between fundamental aesthetic values, particularly those derived from nature, and textile and their aesthetic evolution. So we focused on synergy between nature, culture, aesthetics, as translated in fabrics and textile. So each chapter of the research includes a general overview of a certain aesthetic atmosphere, followed by a focus on a specific fabric, and finally, some references to art or design, along with the inclusion of color boards. Since colors are one of the most important aesthetic elements that we all use to build our own aesthetic perception and our own idea of beauty. We try to move beyond stereotypes and cliché, recognizing that mere symmetry and harmony cannot fully capture the aesthetic experience of Alps. This was the very beginning of the research. Delving deeper, we encountered the concept of the sublime, a very special aesthetic category that fit perfectly with Alps, a beauty that recalls both fascination and unease through natural forces and vast landscapes. Well, could we say that mountains are just graceful? Certainly not. Something is missing. Mountains are actually the realm of contrast, extremes, asymmetry, broken lines, summits, peaks, valleys, imperfection, disharmony, and all those aesthetic patterns that we perceive with our senses feed the sublime, that strange aesthetic value, that strange aesthetic value that makes us feel small in front of a never-ending immensity. Are we attracted to it? Certainly. Does it frighten us? Yes, a little, but it's a pleasant fear. The mountains, with their aesthetic contrast, recall a complex beauty. This is really important. The beauty of Alps, it's not easy. It's a complex beauty that raises questions and often leads us to react, creating more simple signs to face and understand the sublime. Starting from this broad concept, we explored textile cultures to understand if some fabrics also embody these values. Some fabrics indeed convey the sublimity of the mountains. They are imbued with it. Others, on the other hand, carry a more traditional aesthetic message and are more reassuring and regular. Today, I present a very small selection of the first chapter dedicated to the symbiosis and fusion with nature, which talks about one of the most iconic fabrics made in Alps, the Loden. The history of Loden fabric reflects a clear and gradual evolution of its aesthetic values, which have become globally recognized symbols. Initially, Loden was imbued with meanings related to immersion in nature, work, art, and daily interaction with the Alps environment. It was the rough fabric of shepherds, farmers, and hunters. Over time, its aesthetic value shifted from functionality as a performative fabric prized for its resilience against natural elements to a focus on the purity and simplicity of its lines, the elegance of its colors, and its essential and enduring geometric form, particularly when it emerged as the iconic coat. The Loden has traveled a long, long way between two opposite aesthetic concepts while remaining the same fabric. Okay, sorry. Today, Loden fabric, with its chromatic and tactile qualities recalling grass, moss, or the texture of rocks, and its napped, fuzzy, green forest surface, continues to evoke the aesthetic, natural ambience from which it originated. Its connection with the Alps remains indelible. Wearing a Loden coat today signifies a reconnection to an old and traditional system of aesthetic values deeply rooted in harmony and symbiosis with nature, despite shifts in style or trends. It means to dive into nature, to dress the nature. The most surprising thing is that Loden fabric has consistently evolved in aesthetic value while remaining true to itself. The production process, the texture, the basic and pasty colors, nothing has changed, yet everything has changed. We can say that Loden is the opposite of fast fashion. This is an extraordinary example of how a traditional fabric has had the strength to change and modify its aesthetic message without betraying its own history. Loden has embraced many aesthetic meanings, open up to various interpretations, but its aesthetic DNA has remained unchanged. Loden fabric and coat are now symbols of quality, valued for their understated elegance, enduring style, and superior craftsmanship. The Loden coat, a masterpiece of tailoring, has adorned powerful and influential men, lending them a mood of authority, sophistication, and wealth. Notably, during the 60s and the 70s, it even acquired a political meaning, representing a conservative bourgeoisie facing a new generation, epitomized by the parka. Throughout fashion history, many designers have rediscovered Loden as a versatile and elegant fabric, suitable for dressing the female body. They have crafted garments and outerwear that blend haute couture with the natural, resilient, nostalgic mood of Loden. Today, the Loden coat remains a distinctive element in both men's and women's attire, valued for its practical and symbolic significance, which now evokes retro elegance rather than bourgeois associations. It embodies a fusion of tradition and modernity, consistently admired for its timeless charm. In another chapter of the research dedicated to white, seen not only as a color, but as an aesthetic concept, we have chosen lace as the reference fabric. While Loden, with its heavy texture, resilience, sense of protection, and closure, recalls earth, rocks, forest, and moss, something very tangible and material, lace instead carries an opposite aesthetic value: lightness, air, wind, water, and solar qualities. Lace has nothing to do with functionality or practicality. It's all about decoration and beauty. It's all about surface. It's fragile. It's the celebration of a different, lovely, positive interpretation of nature. Flowers, leaves, luxury. Don't forget that lace is precious. Innocence sometimes, and sometimes sensuality. We can say that if Loden is a rainy fabric. It's a rainy and dark fabric. It's a rainy and dark fabric. Lace is, without a doubt, a bright and energetic fabric. So here we have two faces of the same complex concept of beauty, of alpine beauty, as it appears in textile culture. We have the resilience of rocks, moss, grass, and wood, and the fragility of clouds. Thank you.